It's important that I know my students' background. It's important that I know what is the attitude toward school, what are the expectations. And if I know that, if I know background knowledge, then I can connect what I'm doing to the students' background knowledge, to what they already know, what experiences have they already had.
And we already went over the amphibians and the fish. So now we have to talk about reptiles. But what we're going to do before we learn about them is we're going to do a nifty little activity, which is a KWLH chart.
Graphic organizers can be an effective tool in helping students organize their thinking, connecting their prior knowledge with what they need and want to learn.
And what I want you to fill out is what you know already about reptiles, which you should know some things, and what you think we need to know, and kind of base that knowledge on what we talked about with amphibians and birds.
One of the things that students of all age, even my college age students, have trouble with is how to take notes. So one of the things I do is I give them a graphic organizer that helps them to know how to decide what's important to jot down as we take notes. Do I give it to them forever? No, but I give it to them long enough so they learn the structure.
Okay. So good. So you guys know some things about reptiles. What do you think we need to know? By looking at the notes, what we did previously with the different classes, what do you think we need to know? Can somebody help me? I see hands. Dylan?
Where do they live?
Where do they live? We're going to talk about where do they live. Hannah?
We need to know some examples of them.
We need to know.
It's what do you already know, because we're looking, that's background knowledge. We want to know, what do you already know? If they already know a whole bunch, great, then we can go into high-level thinking. But we also want to know if they have any misconceptions. What do you need to know? And that is where the students set goals. And we know that setting personal goals has a high effect on student learning. I'm more likely to do something to carry it out if I have personal goals. And then how did you learn it is the next part, because it's important kids know how they found the information, how they learned it.
And I want you to write down how we learned. So what did we learn today, and how did we learn it? Now, I want you to write it down. I'm going to give you some.
So we're already providing some real brain-friendly structures for the students as we go. Also, we're chunking the information into some categories because it's much easier for you and I to learn if we have things put into categories rather than just being given a lot of things that don't necessarily tie together. The more we can tie things together, the more likely we are to remember them.
Outside on a hot summer day, and you come to a crossroad where you got to make a decision, and you're barefoot. You got to either walk on a white sidewalk or black pavement. And you're barefoot, and it's 95 degrees outside, or close to 100. What are you going to decide? Michelle.
White.
A white what?
Sidewalk.
A white sidewalk. Why? In today's lesson, when I was going over the lasers, I incorporated a story that they're probably all familiar with, and it has to do with filling also. They're walking with their shoes off across green grass, and they have to come to a decision. They got to take a white sidewalk or a black pavement. And all of them said, white sidewalk. And then, I could just say, okay, white sidewalk, and left it at that. But you go back and say, well, why? Why the white sidewalk? And they say, because it reflects energy. It reflects light. It reflects something. And they know that the black is doing the opposite. Okay, there's the white part. Nothing's happening. I'm slowly getting to a different color. And the black. What happened, guys?
It popped.
It popped.
A gunshot.
And that just reinforced what I showed with the lasers, that black absorbs and white reflects. And that took the lasers and applied it to something that was more meaningful for them.
Right. It's your thick substance that forms when tobacco burns. And just like Cheyenne had said earlier, it is black when it forms within the lung. So, Deja, could I have you come up to fill in? I was trying to present a matrix to help the students to better remember their vocabulary words by accessing prior knowledge and actually writing out the book definition, rewording it to help them to remember the word, and then relating a picture to the word to help them better remember it. Dr. Towson had the actual matrix itself within a notebook, and I noticed it was the usage of vocabulary words, so I thought it would be a good idea to take it and use it to implement in our health classroom. It has worked really well. Last year when presenting it, we had a 99% pass rate on our vocabulary quiz, which consisted of 10 of the vocabulary words that we used. Kids love going up to the smartboard to help out the kinesthetic learners, to put hands on. It helps them to write it out. It helps the others to see it too. And it reinforces since they're writing it on their paper and also writing it on the smartboard also.
We've talked about it and we've discussed it, but we're going to review it. Because after we talk about the four-square method, you're going to be developing an essay.
The lesson yesterday was the four-square method. But because it's a step-by-step process, I have to constantly go back over it. And I learned during the training with Dr. Towson that once students do something over and over again, they remember it, and it becomes a procedure for them, like driving a car.